G'day watchers, welcome to Perth Watch, your horology channel broadcasting from right here in Perth, Western Australia. Today I am returning to Seiko again. In relatively short succession, I have another piece from Seiko. This one has been lent courtesy of my work colleague James, who obtained this piece on a trip to Japan at the beginning of the year. So yes, before travel restrictions came into place, he was on holiday and he managed to get this piece from an authorized dealer. Now it comes in this particular box. This is one of the Save the Ocean pieces. This isn't the usual package that you might get this in other parts of the world, but we'll get into that detail as we flip the camera around and take a closer look at this watch. Alright guys, so here we have the box on the table. Now this is the outer cardboard box. It's not really spinnable because if you do that, the flap is pretty loose and it comes out. Now what I would say, one thing is that if you buy this watch, I know in Australia it is supposed to come in a black box, which is kind of more double the size, rectangular double. So I'm not sure whether they actually hurriedly packed this into the wrong packaging, and James, my colleague, feels that they may have done that. Okay, so just a word of caution there. The inner box is pretty darn spinnable. Now this is nearly a 5 out of 5, I gotta say. Very nicely spinnable. Now let's just show you what comes with the watch, and it's got this nice Prospex I guess catalog or historical, montage. Pretty cool. I gotta say, I enjoyed looking at the history of Seiko dive watches. Is really what this is. So feel free to pause through these things if you will. This other side is simply the same thing in Japanese. If you read Japanese, here you go. There's some kind of interesting bit of history there for you guys to check out, and then show you this as well. The guarantee is quite different to what we get in Australia, so maybe the box is also a regional variation. Who knows for sure? Let me know if you have experience buying from Japan. Okay, so Japanese in the first half, English in the second half, which is fair enough. I'm not going to go through that instructions because it's just really for the three-hander day-date movement that's in this box. Okay, let's just open this up and show it to you guys. That's how it's presented in the box here. And yep, that's the watch to show you guys. So let's just open up the buckle and strap and show you guys the watch in closer details. So yes, this is the Seiko Prospex Divers 200 meter SRPC91K. That's what Seiko call it. It is a Save the Ocean special edition turtle. So this is the Seiko Turtle STO, is some I guess abbreviation that fans give this. 2019 release, so about just over a year ago now, I think this was actually released. It is a collaboration with the Fabienne Costeau Ocean Learning Center. So some proceeds, I understand, go towards that center, which aims at ocean conservation, hence Save the Ocean. All right, MSRP of this particular piece, 495 USD, but realistically online you can get it for around 300 to 350 USD. It's what it seems to be going for online. And I'll put links to products down below for you guys to check it out if you're interested in purchasing this particular piece. Okay, first up, as I usually do, let's talk about the movement in the watch. So the movement in here is none other than the good old 4R36. You already know that, I think, if you know your Seikos. Specs down the left of the screen there. The quick set day date in this case is on that window at the 3 o'clock position, as it usually is on turtles. Not really bordered by anything, but the white discs kind of balance out the 9 o'clock hour indice there. So it kind of still maintains a degree of symmetry, even though you got that broken with that date window. That's I don't mind that, actually. It kind of does achieve that symmetry to some extent. Hacking and manual winding, of course, and the rated accuracy of these movements you can see down the bottom of the left there. In actual use, this is running pretty much bang in the middle of that, about plus 8 seconds per day in the week that I have had this watch. Okay, let's talk about the case now. So 45mm diameter case. So, between my two fingers, my thumb and my forefinger here is 45mm exactly as measured by calipers. It's not 44.3 as some people have had older turtles. In this case, it is a 45mm width case. The bezel is closer to 42.5mm. So of course the bezel sits smaller on these turtle designs. Thickness from the flat part of the case back to the top of the bezel, because the bezel is the highest part, is 13.2mm. And it's got 22mm drilled lugs, right? Nicely provision with the drilled holes here for your easy strap changing, easily removing those spring bars when you want to change those straps. The lug-to-lug distance, okay, if I can get my thumbs right in there, is 47.5mm on this watch, which is actually relatively small considering it's 45mm wide there, because those lugs don't stick out particularly long there on the edge of the case. Overall weight, it's a rubber strap watch, so it's not going to be very heavy. It is 123 grams in total, so relatively light and comfortable on the wrist, I would say. Okay, finishing wise, now let's talk about finishing. You can see the bezel is kind of a slightly polished black PVD. It goes to circular brushing on the top surface of the turtle cushion there. As you probably know, if you have Seiko turtles, it's circular brushing on the top, and then it transitions nicely to that curved polished surface, which is so nice. Really, I really like how this case design is. It's really Seiko case craft coming through here. Circular brushing for most of that screw down case back, but of course that side bit and that middle bit is also polished as well, and just let you feast your eyes on that case back with some of the details there. And it does say limited edition over there, or special edition under the big Seiko there on the dial. So it kind of just flagging to you that this is not the run-of-the-mill turtle. Okay, so you got that screw down case back with that nice tsunami embossing for the Seiko Divers watch in the middle of that, with a screw down plain crown, no sign here, right? Plain black PVD crown. It is a Divers 200-meter watch, as you can see on the dial. Well, it's slightly covered now, but it's a Divers 200-meter watch, as is what you're getting with the Prospex range. If you buy a Divers in the Prospex range, that's what you would be getting. Right, so let's move on to possibly the highlight of the watch, I think, the dial here. The dial is this just lovely textured blue gradient, right? Look at that gradient there. You got to think, that's definitely inspired by the Rolex Deep Sea Dweller James Cameron, right? I mean, it's got to be kind of inspired by that, I would think. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Seiko actually had the idea beforehand. Let me know if you know more specifics about that history. But just show you how it catches the light, kind of changes color depending on the angle. It's just lovely, right? If you take this outdoors, it's even more iridescent depending on the angle. And I'll try to put some shots here of me holding this in outdoor light and how it changes color depending on the angle and characteristics of the light. It's just gorgeous when you let it play around like that. So to me, this blue gradient evokes the concept of submersing into the depths. That's really, I think, what it's going for. But the texture itself, at first I look at this and I think, the layers of the ocean as you go down. But apparently it's also inspired by the ventral plates of a blue whale. And I kind of can see that. It's not perfect parallel lines. It's slightly organic and not perfectly parallel, so I can kind of see where they're going from. So that's just an interesting backstory behind the design of this particular dial. It does have printed details all over, right? Chaptering on the flange, and then it's got those applied large indices for these Seiko dive watches. Syringe and arrow brushed handset, right, which you've seen in many Seiko Divers, as well as a white-colored lollipop counter seconds. Lots of Lumi Bright in all the usual spots, of course, and Lume Shot right here for you to see how it grows so nicely in the dark. Very good Lumi Bright, lasts through the night. All these Seiko Divers do have great lume. All right, on top of the dial, flat hardlex crystal. Okay, that's what you're getting there. And then the bezel, right, black PVD, 120 click unidirectional dive bezel with a two-tone, right, lighter blue for the first 20 minutes here, aluminium bezel insert there. Okay, let's just hear how it sounds. Very soft, actually. 10 clicks. Right, 20 clicks, 120 click unidirectional dive bezel is what this is. All right. For Graham's sake, I'm gonna try to get this back into the 12 o'clock position, so he doesn't get too angry at me for not putting it back at exactly 12 o'clock there. All right. So that's the description of this particular case. The strap here is really just a Seiko silicone rubber. Not bad actually. Quite a good strap. It's got a textured interior there. If you know these straps, you can see it makes it comfortable. That texture on the interior is more flat on the outside. It's got a metal keeper as well as a brushed metal, stainless steel buckle here, right, with a stainless steel keeper. All right, so that's the description. Let's put it on the wrist now for a wrist shot for you guys. And there we go, guys. The Seiko Save the Ocean Turtle on my 17cm wrist. Now, it is a large watch, despite the fact that the lugs don't hang out too much because they're actually relatively short. It is definitely a watch that has presence, not too thick, 13.2, and that's how the rubber strap looks on the wrist there. Okay, and that dial, look at that dial, it's just gorgeous. All right, so what can I say about this watch? I think this watch is so well known. It's actually quite hard to review it and give my comments, but look, for what it's worth, I reckon if you get this at 300 or so, it represents Seiko at pretty fair value. You're getting the great turtle design, original design. They don't copy anyone, they come up with your own stuff. The classic cushion case that makes it so comfortable to wear. Really love that case design. Diver's 200 meter, functionality, and best in class loom. They still kick ass with their loom, I think. And what's special about this compared to other turtles? You're getting that simply sublime dial. That dial is just gorgeous, matched with that two-tone bezel and the black PVD around the outside. Those touches really does make this pop. I really like the look of this watch. One of the best looking turtles you can get, I reckon. What are the weaknesses? What are my concerns when I talk about turtles and whether people should get this? Well, it's not a universally appealing case. If it was slightly smaller, I think it would be, I guess, more universal and more versatile, but 45mm is not a small case. And some people won't want a watch of this size. I would say the bezel feels fairly weak, right? It feels actually a little bit tinny, so not the strongest bezel that I've seen from Seiko. And the series, this series of turtles is still plagued with the bezel and chapter ring alignment issues. Now, my colleague James spent a lot of time selecting this out of a few samples they had, so he really looked to make sure that the bezel and flange was well aligned, and I think this one is, but don't be surprised if you buy this watch and it's not perfectly aligned. It's still something that Seiko is bugged with. Okay guys, so that's it. That's my thoughts on this watch. Let's flip the camera around now for the wrap up. So there you go guys, my review of the first version of the Save the Ocean Turtle from Seiko. Let me know your thoughts about this piece. I think a lot of these STO pieces do seem to be quite well liked and quite popular, so I would love to hear your particular experiences if you own any of them, or if you have interest in dive watches in general. Would also love to hear from you. Guys, if you enjoy my videos, do consider subscribing. New content every week, always aiming to be objective and unbiased about all things horology. Thank you again for sticking with me, and as always, I'll catch you guys again next time.